This is day 13 of exploring monastic life, and every day we're getting to know each other better by sharing our experiences and hearing the teachings and all kinds of things. So I thought I'd share 2 experiences I had that helped me understand and develop faith in the Buddhist teachings, and also were contributing factors to me ordaining, because quite often when I meet people outside the Abbey, or even when people come here, they'll ask, well, why did you ordain? So I'm going to start off with this first story. I think I was 4 or 5 at the time, and it was Stampede weekend in this small town where I grew up. And my grandmother was in town, and we needed to get ready to go to the parade, so we all got dressed up in our cowboy shirts and cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And I had on my favorite duds and my favorite shirt. And they had just tarred the road close to our house to get ready for the parade so there wouldn't be dust. And so this tar was very wet. And my grandmother decided that we were going to cross the road to get to a good place to see the parade. So I don't know how old she was then, I don't know, probably my age. Anyway, she seemed really old then. But anyway, she was the boss, and in my family the women were the boss. The men weren't wimps, but this was a matriarchal system. So she grabbed my brother and I, and we proceeded to go across the highway, and she fell down. And so there were 3 of us covered completely in tar, and we weren't hurt. My grandma wasn't hurt. But this was earth-shattering to me, because the person that I trusted the most couldn't protect us. And I remember just thinking later, as we were getting cleaned up and the public health nurse was there, and she was a friend of the family, so they were washing us with turpentine and all kinds of stuff. And everyone kept reassuring me, don't worry about your cowboy shirt, it's going to be fine. Well, they lied to me. The cowboy shirt was ruined. But more important, I knew in my heart then, as a 4-year-old, that no one could protect me. And this stayed with me. And I had no one to tell, because who would listen about that? It was just a realization I had that no one could protect me. And then decades went by, and everyone here now knows how attached I am to my family. And I came to see how my extended family and my immediate family I've just built up in my mind through constant hallucination. And it took a family tragedy to see this. And so we've all had tragedies. This is not something unique to me. But I got to see the level of hallucination that I was living in and building. And I got to see also that tragedy can go 2 ways. Tragedy can destroy us, or tragedy can actually make us stronger. And if we're Buddhist practitioners, if we know anything about Buddhism, it can actually help us grow our understanding in the Buddhist teachings. So to make a very long story short, I'm sure we've been to weddings where things have gone all wrong. And there was a particular wedding in my family that was like an atomic bomb. So the bomb was launched at the wedding, and within an hour, this family that had been growing together for probably at least 75 years splintered. And I was reading about the Titanic this morning, because in my mind, my family was like the Titanic. Number one, it was never going to sink, and it would always be there. And people say to this day, if the Titanic hadn't struck that iceberg, it would still be sailing. But we all know what happened. And so apparently it took 3 years to build the Titanic, but it sank in less than 3 hours. So in my family, it was built over 75 years, and it sank in less than an hour. And this was personally devastating to me, but I had some Dharma knowledge at that point. But I also got to see all kinds of things that Venerable Children has been teaching us over the years, and all of our teachers, that the mind is a source of happiness and pain. So when this event happened and I saw the family splinter, just thinking about it then would make me physically sick. I would become physically sick in my whole body thinking about this loss. And then I also got to see, though, how what I thought was solid and would last forever and we'd support each other until we were all dead was just a hallucination. And also to see truly that everything is impermanent and people are changing and groups are changing and we're all changing, and I could not see it. I knew that intellectually, but I could not see it until this event. And then I also could see myself wanting to take sides, and I saw myself wanting to point the finger of blame. And I did my best to not do that, because I could see that all of this suffering, this collapse of a family, had causes and conditions, and people are operating under the influence of karma and afflictions, and how I didn't want to be taking sides and continuing this thing that continues to this day. So there's sides in my family now. Person A will never speak again to person B. And I didn't want to be in that camp. So I'm so grateful that for somehow, in a past life for sure, many past lives, that I created the karma to hear these teachings and to see the hallucination that was built and that I continue to build around the family, and to see how it's just thoughts. And I'm really looking forward to the day when I can really figure out the difference between love and attachment. And that's down the road quite a bit. But anyway, I personally survived this tragedy. I'm grateful for that. Many of the people in my family haven't, and they continue to suffer. So person A, who has decided never to speak again to person B, is really, really suffering every day, and it takes a lot of energy to maintain that kind of intention towards others. For sure it's sad. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it doesn't make me sad, but I just see the suffering, and so it's fueled my renunciation. So those two events truly made me want to ordain. I'm still a bit bent out of shape about that cowboy shirt, but and we just continue on learning what we can, doing what we can with the Dharma.